Happy 22nd of July, an official start to 2025 training camp. Welcome inside the vault for a Ravens lunch hour live stream. And Sarah, man, it feels like there's a trio of things to be excited about. One, it's what I just mentioned. It's the official start to camp. Veterans have reported. So the Ravens are whole for the first time for the 2025 campaign. If you put aside, mandatory minicamp and some OTAs that were really well attended early on. But not only is that a reason for excitement, but at midnight, the vaultpod.com becomes available to everyone rather than just channel members, patrons, and Discord community members. So we're really excited to open that up to the public for the first time. And in 25 minutes from right now, a Super Bowl champion by the name of Chris McAllister joins the program for a conversation. So yeah, there's other things as well, including the content that we have coming up, but I thought we would start there.
That's a great place to start, but there is a lot of good content. I haven't seen it yet. You're bringing in a clip of Nick Wright melting down over the ESPN roster rankings, which has the Ravens at number 1. After CMAC will come back around, we're going to talk about a terrible, preposterous, in your words, idea from Stephen A. Smith. Derrick Henry and Adam Sandler are like best buddies teaming up, hoping to do a movie in the future together. Some stuff on the Bengals. I mean, drama continues for them over there. So much to get to. We got to roll today.
All the while, like at 5 a.m. Eastern time, Douglas H. Brown Sr. gets us started with a $50 super chat. He says, help build this awesome family, everyone. Keep up the great work, Sarah and Bobby. Did you see my email this morning? Yes, we did. I responded to it. He's got work commitments right now. But on top of the $50, he begins with another donation as well, and that comes in the form of 10 new channel Voltrons. So clearly he's in the training camp spirit. I'm sure so many of you are out there as well. We want to say thank you to Douglas for his continued support and the way that he is single-handedly, he and PHP and everybody else that's been extremely generous in recent weeks, particularly since we rolled out that channel membership feature. It's been awesome, and we'll get to more super chats and gifts as they come in throughout. But as promised, and as you just teased, here is Nick Wright responding to ESPN, essentially, because they were the ones that published these rankings when it comes to rosters, overall talent, right? And the Ravens are at the top, according to ESPN's metrics. We covered this recently, and here it is before we toss to Nick. Their biggest strength, the Ravens, of course, it starts and ends with Lamar. And ESPN writes, an all-pro in each of the past 2 seasons, and the NFL MVP in 19 and 23 is one of the best in the business. He fell just short of this consecutive MVP, I should say his second consecutive MVP last season, even though he led the league in QBR and produced career-high marks in passing yards and passing touchdowns, the second most in the league. The dual-threat quarterback, wait, hold on a second here. He produced career-high marks in passing yards with over 4,100 and passing touchdowns with 41, which, correct, was the second most league-wide. The dual-threat QB has never finished the season lower than second at his position in rushing yards. Former Cowboys QB Cooper Rush also makes for a solid backup. Then the biggest weakness, according to Clay here from ESPN, is guard. New year, same weakness for a roster that is otherwise pretty stacked. On the left side, McCary is out and will be replaced by Voorhees, Cleveland, or perhaps a rookie. Fa'alele returns on the right side after underwhelming as a run blocker and ranking among the worst in the league in run block win rate at 71.8%. Nothing we haven't covered before, but that was their ranking. And you've got a couple
so they
other
had
things.
They had Ravens number 1, just to give the top 5. ESPN has Ravens as the number 1 roster heading into the 2025 season. Number 2, they have the Philadelphia Eagles. Number 3, they're giving it to the Detroit Lions. Number 4, Buffalo Bills. And then to round out the top 5 is the Kansas City Chiefs. So remember, this isn't best roster minus the quarterback, right? It's not the best roster surrounding your quarterback. It includes the quarterback, which I think obviously helps the Ravens ranking. But obviously, Nick Wright did not agree.
No, he did not. Here's the clip.
I don't think they were the best. They had the best roster last year, and the roster probably got marginally just a touch worse from last year. Their biggest addition's DeAndre Hopkins. And with
Jair Alexander. I'd say
I guess I feel differently. I was looking at the offensive side. On defensive side, definitely Jair. But I don't think he is, to me, a massive addition. I think Jair Alexander, there's a reason Green Bay
got attitude.
I don't think it's just attitude. I think the last couple of years he hasn't been a great player.
That's fair.
I think he's still a good player, but I just don't think he's been a great player.
Back years.
Maybe. But Baltimore last year, even coming on strong at the end of the year, as you guys mentioned, barely a top 10 scoring defense, the number 31 pass defense. While Justin Tucker last year was not the Justin Tucker of old, he's certainly, who's not on the roster this year, probably more reliable than a 6th-round rookie, you know what I mean, that they're looking at this year. I think they have a downright below-average receiving core. And so I just don't know how so I just don't know how that team can be and by the way, I might have them 5th or 6th or something. It's not like I'm saying they're a bad team.
Yeah.
But to say that's the best roster in the NFL, I think it's crazy. Like, I agree with you on Philly. I think Kansas City's better. I think Buffalo's better. And then I think you can start having the discussion about them, Detroit, you know what I mean? The other teams that are well-rounded but have some holes. I know some people are higher on San Francisco than I am. Detroit was in the top 5. Yeah, and so I don't by the way, I will say this, though. If this is true, not to, kind of start this parade early, it puts even more pressure on Lamar for this upcoming year. If he really does have the best team in the league, which I don't, again, now he's part of the starting lineup.
That's the odd math of wrapping your head around this.
Right, because he's getting, this isn't the best rosters absent the quarterback, right? Because in that world, with respect, Philly jumps Baltimore for sure.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because
but still,
he's
they
part
had
of the
Kansas City 6th.
Right.
So
or 5th,
how much
right?
of a
5th or 6th, whatever it was.
So that's the clip from Fox. Nick Wright taking issue with where the Ravens rank in ESPN's latest best, worst rosters, stacking all 32 projected lineups, Sarah. And right off the bat, doesn't he lose just the slightest bit of credibility when he thinks that DeAndre Hopkins is their best addition?
Yeah, wide receiver 3 is not the biggest addition.
That one lost me right there, right off the top. D-Hop is expected to be an upgrade from what Nelson Aguilar's been in the last couple of years. At his best, perhaps he starts to push for targets on Bateman. We know that from a situational standpoint and the experience that he brings to the table in what's an otherwise young and inexperienced room, you like what he brings in that realm. But to view him as the top addition outside a couple of the high-flying rookies, albeit they haven't played a snap yet, and aside from what Jair Alexander could very well be and what they're not even paying him to be, by the way. It's a very modest contract. Tough start with me on that one. When he went 2+ minutes, he almost lost me off the top, but I know you have other thoughts on that one.
Well, so I hadn't seen it. I will say I wouldn't describe it as a meltdown. I think he was disagreeing for sure, and I think that he made some points that were wrong, but I think that he was trying to be reasonable about it. So not only do I think that he was wrong about, DeAndre Hopkins being the biggest addition, I think him saying that the Ravens got worse, I don't think so. I think they're going to be better in the secondary. I'm having a hard time seeing the kicker situation being worse than Tucker losing 3 games last year. He says he would put them 5th or 6th. I disagree with that. And then he also said, it puts more pressure on Lamar. The funny thing is, then he had to correct himself and he goes, but this isn't the best roster absent the quarterback. The funny thing is I'm going to want to bring this clip up and send it to the MVP voters when they try to use the roster against Lamar Jackson when he inevitably has another MVP caliber season, because he's had one every single year or when he's been healthy or not a rookie. Okay. He's always up in that MVP stratosphere. He's always in there. Now here's the thing. So while I disagree with a lot of what he said, I don't think I'm putting Ravens number 1. I think I am putting Eagles. And maybe, the Eagles come down because they lost a lot of their pass rushers. But if I'm doing Ravens and Eagles, I'm giving obviously the quarterback to the Ravens having the better quarterback. And maybe that's worth double when you have the better quarterback. The Eagles fans would say, well, the Hurts has been better in the playoffs than Lamar. And that's true, right? It's true. But I think Lamar's a better quarterback. And I think he has it in him to bring it to the playoffs. So the Ravens have the better quarterback. And I also think the Ravens have a better tight end group because I think the Ravens might be the best overall with who they have. That being said, Eagles, better offensive line. Eagles, better wide receiver core. Eagles, I'll just give them a better overall defense. And I thought Nick made good points that last year the Ravens scoring defense was barely top 10, and then they were number 31, the 31st ranked pass defense. And then the kicker wasn't great last year, and who knows what it's going to be this year. And so I'm putting Eagles number 1. I'm fine putting Ravens 2, or because this includes quarterback, I might move. They have Kansas City all the way at number 5, but because this isn't best roster surrounding a quarterback, it includes the quarterback. I think because Patrick Mahomes does so much heavy lifting, I've got to put the Kansas City Chiefs in the top 3. And because they keep going to the AFC Championship game and all that, it's like, do I want to put them above the Ravens? So to me, Ravens are, probably number 2 or number 3 in the league. So I'm fine with him disagreeing with the number 1 ranking, but there was a lot of bad info within his disagreement.
Yeah, I don't think you can be considered. I agree with you. I don't think you can be considered the top roster in the league talent-wise and projection-wise at this point in July when you have glaring holes and questions on your special teams unit to what he already referenced. And then on top of that, some questions at guard. There's depth options at guard, but there are question marks there. And if you take out the unbelievable in-season transformation that the back end of this defense took on last year, you're still looking at a 10-game sample size of the 32nd ranked passing defense. Now, a lot of those pieces to that puzzle of how they ended up there are no longer. So it gives you confidence that, as we discussed in the last couple of weeks, that area of the defense is going to be an upgrade. Remember, we went like up, improved, stayed the same, or got worse. And the majority of this roster, I think we kind of settled on, had improved. Now, there were several positional groups that
on the defensive side,
that we agreed had stayed put team wide in terms of where they were, just because they didn't lose a lot. They didn't lose a lot this year in terms of starters. Philly did. But I think that shows you just how much depth they do have and how much talent they do have, because I still view them as the most talented roster too. And so for number 2, I think you could have a debate between Detroit, Kansas City, and Baltimore for number 2. But that would be those are the 4 teams that I'm looking at in terms of, top talent.
Yeah.
Philly, Baltimore, Kansas City, Detroit.
Yeah. And I think you don't put Buffalo up there?
They're right there, top 5.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that all the top 5, I mean, you start splitting hairs at some point, but I think the top 5, I think the bottom line is the Ravens have everything they need to go on and win a championship. I think Kansas City has what they need to win a championship. I think it's the same for the Buffalo Bills. To your point, the Detroit Lions, the Ravens, and the Eagles. Like I think they all have what they need to win a championship. And at the end of the day, you're going to have some outside factors that are going to play into this. You're going to have injuries that play into this. Who's going to have the best roster by the end of the season? Who's still standing? Who's lost some key players? Then there's going to be who's in the easiest division, right? And so the Buffalo Bills, while I'd put the Ravens roster above the Bills, I don't know that the Bills are super far behind, but I think they're in a much easier division. And so It's like they might have an easier road to making the playoffs and therefore having better seating. And so will home field advantage come into the picture? And then once you get to the playoffs, assuming that Lamar Jackson's healthy, then they'll make the playoffs. And once you get there, are you going to be mentally tough? Are you going to be able to get over the hump of playing your best at the best times? But I think these top 5 rosters, whatever order you want to put it in, they're all championship caliber, and all these outside factors are going to play into it. And then at the end of the day, it's a game of inches. And so it's up to the Ravens to take what has been given to them, which is a championship roster, whether you want to say it's 1, 2, 3 in that list, they have to get it done when it matters the most.
I will say, too, one more thought on Nick's commentary. Thought it was slightly below the belt to refer to the Ravens wide receiver core as below average.
Yeah.
I think they've earned the right over the last year or so to be earned at, average. I'd say average right now is where I'd be comfortable viewing them as, and who knows, that label can only go up if Rashad Bateman continues his breakout and is able to sustain the performance that he gave you last year, which was a big play bait type threat, which was good, solid separation. Zay Flowers did so as well. He had a 1,000-yard receiving season, of course, for Zay. You now bring in DeAndre, who we all expect to be an immediate upgrade to Aguilar, as I mentioned. And if you got some young guns that are in there, they're going to be competing for, that 4th and 5th spot. So to view them as a bona fide, as he sort of did, below average wide receiver core, I thought to me was a little bit unfair and maybe even outdated. It's one thing if this time last year, that's a no-brainer to refer to him as such. But Bateman's here now. He's arrived. And the expectation based on what the Ravens chose to do this offseason by paying him is that he's going to continue to stack. So I'd be more comfortable with referring to them as average right now. How about you?
Yeah, definitely not below average. I'd put, and this is maybe we're like all feeling good because the Ravens do have an at least average wide receiver core, which historically the Ravens just never have. They might go out and get one star guy. Yeah, and I remember going into the 2012 championship season that it was like, I don't know, is Jacoby Jones, because at the time Jacoby Jones had problems with muffed punts and drops when he was with the Texans, and he came over, and Torrey Smith was developing as a second rounder, and I think there was already some love for Anquan Boldin, but I feel like that's the last time they had a more complete wide receiver core. And so Zay Flowers being the first Pro Bowler in Ravens franchise history at the wide receiver position is huge. And like you said, Bateman's coming on. And so it's up to them to take themselves above, the average label. They've gotten them this far, something that the Ravens don't traditionally have, and hopefully they can do more. But I do think that national media are more concerned about the wide receiver core than people locally.
Sure.
Yeah.
And you're right. I think it's a good point to at least consider. Are we kind of basking in this glory right now because of the history of the position and the woes that have come along with it?
Oh, and meanwhile, speaking of a championship roster, Bobby, they've returned today. Veterans are reporting. We just saw right there. Let's back it up a little bit. This is all courtesy of Ravens' social media account. Jair Alexander, who I would say is the biggest offseason addition, along with Chris Broussard there. So love to see Jair coming in, hoping for a healthy year for him. We've got Zay Flowers coming in. One of those Pro Bowl wide receivers we were just talking about. And there's Chris Wright's biggest addition. There's DeAndre Hopkins, and maybe he will come. I'm sure he will come up huge in some games for sure, and in some moments. And then it's Nnamdi Madubuike, year 6 for him. Year 6. Just as good to have him in there. So they're all reporting, Bobby, and we will get who is it? Mark Andrews today is speaking, and I got to look up who the other people are because I'm already forgetting who's going today.
I like the T-shirt that Nnamdi's sporting right there. Hakeem Olajuwon, maybe perhaps a sign of things to come. Some denials for Nnamdi Madubuike in the trenches coming up this season. But there he is with those retro goggles, iconic. It's a great shirt. Nnamdi reporting, and to your point, all veterans, they are now full, and training camp officially begins today for full-scale Baltimore Ravens. So
Mark Andrews at 4 p.m., Nnamdi Madubuike, and Ronnie Stanley. Those are the 3 today, 4 p.m.
You have it. It's going to be a busy, busy week at the podium. Before C-Mac, Chris McAllister joins us. Let's get some super chats in. If you have a comment, you can weigh in, and we'll get to as many as we possibly can before we bring on C-Mac. So again, Douglas H. Brown Sr. got things started with a bang earlier today and sent over a great email to us this morning. He was all fired up, and he just wants to continue helping us build this channel, which we really appreciate. And you can do so as well by gift giving, because when you gift give subscribers randomly become channel members, and it's a way for them to get more involved in the show. Marvin Garrison just did it on his own merit, and he became a Voltron earlier today. So welcome, Marvin, to official channel membership. We'll get that update in just a second in terms of where we are. I'll get it while you read this one, Sarah, from Jared Thomas. It's a $5 super chat. What's up, JT?
Jared Thomas, Sarah, how does it make sense that Nick Wright simultaneously believes that both the receivers are/were mediocre and also Lamar Jackson wasn't the MVP? Yeah, Nick Wright, I wouldn't say is consistent in his takes. He for sure, I feel like people move the goalpost depending on the argument that they're making. But yeah, you don't seem to hear him say that a lot for Lamar. If Lamar isn't putting up big numbers, it's not like he's saying, well, he's got, below average wide receivers, so we should, give a pass to Lamar. That never happens.
You already know that he easily transitioned to the pressure conversation, right? Pressure, which so often has followed Lamar throughout his career. Ryan Clark, by the way, yesterday, I covered this on my personal channel, getting back into the live flow in the late afternoon, but he thinks the Ravens are under more pressure than the Detroit Lions. And to me, I think it's actually the highest form of flattery when the pressure conversation comes up.
Well,
I also think it's overused.
The highest form is you have no pressure because you've already won it a few times. But I would say the second highest form. Yeah,
that's true. That's what they're all chasing. That's what they're chasing. But
it means they expect you to win a championship, and I'm okay.
Correct, and it's the highest form of respect to, well, second highest in your vocab for Lamar too. And Ryan Clark has pretty consistently been an advocate of Lamar's. Winstone's Chronicles hits us with a 1999, and he says, I don't like
attention
to Nick Wrong. I would not have gotten that without you. So thank you. And thank you to Winstones. Hybrid Theory 5 checking in with a $10 super chat for you.
Hybrid Theory said, so sad this show, meaning first things first, not the vault. So disappointed this show wasn't the one canceled just because of Nick. Chris is cool though. It's true.
Lindsay Bustler says, hey, been a while. But Nick Wright just hates Lamar and the Ravens. Anytime he says something positive about either the team or Lamar, he looks like he's in pain. Lindsay, good to have you back. Hope you're having an awesome summer. Parkite's Profit today goes with a $21 super chat, and there's a little reason as to why.
He said, late to the party, but training camp is here. The Paper Tigers are folding, and so sad for their pass rush situation. We'll get to that later. Nick Wright can lick the underside of tables at a rest stop. Straight punk. Had to do 21 for C-Mac, but always hashtag 20-0.
And C-Mac just popped into our waiting room. He's working on throwing his camera on. Look at it. You show up, C-Mac, and we're getting super chats in your honor, $21. We'll bring you on in just a second. Thanks, PHP, for that. Jared Thomas, Sarah, another one for you.
I guess I said it wrong. He said, Sarah, you mean Nick Wright, not Chris Wright. LOL. I combined Chris Broussard and Nick Wright. Thank you, Jared.
Nakia drops in a $1.99 to say hello. Eric Hill is a channel member, as is Nakia, and he writes, missed the live yesterday and almost missed it today. Good afternoon, everyone. Well, Eric, it's perfect timing. We're about to bring in the champ himself. And on top of that, he's gifted 5 channel memberships. So 5 brand new Voltrons have a chance to get more involved with the channel. We appreciate you, Eric. And Nakia, Sarah, a little bit more on what she's up to today.
I wish I was where Nakia is. She says, watching the show from the beach on the Jersey Shore. I would love to be on the beach.
Oh, heck yeah. Heather McCubbins.
Let's do a show from a beach, Bobby. Let's do that one day.
I would love to. Heather McCubbins has gifted 5 channel memberships. We appreciate you, Heather. And Parkite's Profit says he forgot to mention my merch has arrived. We got to get C-Mac some merch of his choosing.
Yeah.
Vault gear will be seen in the streets. Love it, PHP. Thank you for being with us. And we appreciate you guys for being here on this Tuesday, the start to training camp. If you could like the video on your way in, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so, and hit that notification bell so you can be notified of when we're dropping our daily live content. Well, Sarah, this guy's no stranger to my channel. We've caught up numerous amounts of times over the years at the BMore Around Town tailgates, and that is part of the reason why we bring back Chris McAllister, because he's gearing up for a big-time tailgate several weeks from now in Buffalo. We're going to hear about that. We're going to catch up with him. And without further ado, please, a warm welcome for the Super Bowl champion and a friend of yours, Sarah, Chris McAllister. You guys go way back, and it's good to reacquaint you guys today.
Yeah, Chris, I was telling Bobby before the show, so good to see you. I don't even know if you remember this. This was my intern year at the Ravens in 2005. I threw, this is so early days of this, an American Idol viewing party with Melanie LeGrand. I don't know if you remember her, a bunch of people. Anyway, you showed up to the American Idol party, and I was like, dang, Chris McAllister's watching American Idol with us in my living room. Do you remember that?
Unfortunately, I do not. That was quite a while ago, but
yes, like 20 years ago, 20 years. Yeah.
I am known to pop into some weird places every now and again.
I was going to say, man, we're always partying in our pregame mode. I figured if there was a party that you'd be there and you'd remember it, but that's going way back.
If I hear there's a good party, it's like I'm going to show up. So I'm pretty sure, obviously, this was a great party.
Obviously. Yes, obviously.
Well, it's great to have you back, man. Hope you're enjoying your summer and whatnot. And like I teased, we might as well just get down to business first and foremost before we get your thoughts on, the secondary and this projected roster and defense. And that is the rematch of the divisional round game last year. I know you and B-More Around Town are going to continue to collaborate on the road, and you will be the legend of the tailgate, if you will, coming up in September. So let us know just how fired up you are to get back into enemy territory.
I'm always excited. It's always a great time hanging out with Brian and coming back and being part of the Ravens community. So I'm just looking forward to it. It's like there's so many festivities. We're going to Buffalo this year. Well, I'm going to Buffalo to be more around town this year. So that's going to be awesome. But really looking forward to getting back, being there in September. It's like they're also having, is that the celebration you were mentioning?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like looking forward to getting back there, seeing some of the guys and hanging out with them. So, football's finally here. It's been boring.
It's been super boring.
And I want to throw this in here as well. Just given we're not all that long away and passes are moving, there is a tailgate only option for Buffalo for those that might be traveling to Western New York on their own. At the time of when Brian last emailed us, there were 20 spots overall that remain for the trip itself. So CMAC, they're selling, one because of your presence, I'm sure, and also has something to do with the rematch and what took place last year. But we just want to let everybody know that when you book a full Ravens away trip experience with B-More Around Town and Brian, you'll receive 2 complimentary VIP purple tailgate passes to a 2025 home tailgate of your choice. All that information can be found in our show notes. There's also a direct link in the pinned comment right now in the live chat. And all you have to do is email Brian at bmorearoundtown.com once you book your trip so you can redeem those complimentary VIP purple tailgate passes. So that we'll tell you more about that, of course, in the coming weeks as we get closer to week 1, CMAC. But how could we not begin with the elephant in the room from a year ago? The first 10 weeks, the Achilles heel to this defense, as we discussed on the pregame show a couple times, was the back end. And now there's some pieces that are gone and there's new pieces, most notably Jair Alexander. You bring in the rookie Malachi Starks. So I wonder, as you start to kind of look at the changes that were made and some of the investments that were made this offseason, what are your expectations for the group?
They remain the same, always high. I think the Ravens do a great job of identifying talent, bringing guys in that work well within the system, personality fit, athletic fit. And I expect ever since they made a move, I think it was this past year when they moved Hamilton back deep. The defense kind of took a different turn. They took on a different identity. And that's something that, we look going forward, them having more chemistry, working well together. So I expect them to be as explosive as I expect them to be as dominant as always, like on defense.
What is your specific kind of thoughts on some of the new guys? Like, obviously we got 1 year of Nate Wiggins, and now they've added Jair Alexander. We kind of come to know what to expect from Marlon Humphrey and some of the other guys back there. But what are your thoughts on first Nate Wiggins and then Jair Alexander and what they bring to the table?
I think they bring a competitive edge that the Ravens have always clamored for. You know, it's like they're both unique in their own position. They both do a wonderful job of playing well to the others around them. So I expect them to be great. I expect everything to work out the way the Baltimore Ravens have planned it to be.
C-Mac, lots of changes this offseason to the coaching staff on that side of the ball. And when you bring in a former NFL head coach in Chuck Pagano, that's obviously going to garner a lot of attention. You bring in a Donald DeLessio, who's a respected assistant from Kansas City. I guess I wonder, with the new framework and structure in place, and you have Dean Pease that's sort of still a consultant type figure with the wisdom that he brings. And then you got the 33-year-old Zach Orr that's kind of manning this entire department. What do you make of this room now?
I mean, you can never go wrong with a guy like Chuck. I had the pleasure of playing with him as my coach when I was there in Baltimore. And, you know, Chuck is a smart guy. He knows what's going on. He has a pulse of what the team needs and what the defense needs. So I think, like always, it's like they continue to add other players. They continue to add great coaches, and they do a good job of putting everybody in the right position.
C-Mac, when you have like Marlon Humphrey has called out the defense and getting more takeovers, I feel like some Ravens defenses of old have done that. So obviously once the playoff hits, the offense is criticized for having too many turnovers, but Marlon Humphrey has called out the team for not enough turnovers. Is that just a mentality? Is it like studying film? Like, what can they do to become a more opportunistic defense like the Ravens defenses of old?
I think it's a combination of both. It's like you take film study into consideration and game preparation. That's one thing. It's like the way you practice. Like, you know, I played with Ray Lewis, so it's like our practices were super intense. It was all about takeover strips, running to the ball, creating. You never know when the ball's going to pop out. So everybody was always hustling. Everybody was always running in practice. And I'm sure they do that same thing. They have that same mentality now. I think when we look at it, it's like there's times where maybe the ball hits their hands. They could have had an interception. There's times where the ball gets on the ground and they didn't get to it. It's like, and hopefully this year is a year they can capitalize on that.
Let's open it up to some super chats too. We'll continue to get our questions in as we see fit. But Park Heights Profit says, question for C-Mac. How do you think the secondary will look with a combo of Wiggins and Jair on the outside, Marlowe in the slot, and Kyle Starks, meaning Kyle Hamilton and Malachi Starks, running more zone or man or a mix with disguised blitzes?
Well, of course, I'm going to go with the mix with disguised blitz as the obvious, but it's like the zone combinations where you're blitzing on one side, you're zoning up or playing man on the other side. It's like those type of combinations of defenses have always been a trademark of the Ravens, showing one thing and delivering another. It's something that I believe the Ravens, you know, it's almost like their calling cards. So I think it's going to be a very high pressure defense. It's like, but I think they're going to get it done with the front four. It's like more than having to send 7 guys or 6 guys in there to go get it done. And I'm excited. Can't wait.
Andrew G here, he brought this up yesterday and he's back today. Now that you're on here, he wants a petition for you to be in the Ring of Honor, #dog. What are your thoughts?
We're not doing this again. I'm not
getting involved
in this conversation.
I was going to say, we had to read it. You don't have to address it if you don't want to. How's that?
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. I mean, I would be honored, and obviously, but I don't want to get into that conversation again.
Fair enough. Nick Marty writes, Chris, besides injuries, what's the biggest concern you have for the defense? Mine is defensive line depth.
I'm not sure. To be honest, it's like I don't have any concerns about the defense whatsoever. It's like, nor do I have any concerns about the offense. The biggest thing is staying healthy, and football is all about luck. It's not about it's about talent, it's about scheme and all those things. It's like, but it's also about staying healthy. You know, it's like if those guys can stay healthy up front and all around the whole team can stay healthy, it's like we have just as good a shot as anybody.
What is it like for a player? This is my last question. What is it like for a player when you get knocked out? So the Ravens obviously got knocked out of the playoffs. in Buffalo against the Bills. And then the schedule comes out. The NFL obviously knows what good TV is, and they give the Ravens week 1 Buffalo. Yeah. What is it? Is that like for a player, like good, like I get a chance to exact a small portion of revenge? Is it like, oh, you guys did us dirty? Like, what is it for you guys when a schedule like that comes out?
I think it's just another game. It's the first game of the season, which is for every team, it's the most important game of the season. It's kind of like the time you get to go out there and make a statement. And yeah, maybe there's a little built up anger from last year. It's like losing to Buffalo. It's like and not being able to make that next move. But I think they'll take it. They'll handle it appropriately. It's like they'll go forward. They'll go out there, play against Buffalo. And yeah, they probably will try to exact a little bit of revenge. It's like, who knows? It's like if I was on the field, it's like from a personal standpoint, I'm making sure that I win my battle, and I know my teammates are walking in there to win their own individual battles.
And you're going to be on hand for that potential revenge opportunity coming up in
no
September.
Table jumping though, I promise.
Dude, let me tell you, that divisional round game was insane. It was like -5 degrees at kickoff. The wind chill was through the roof. Yeah, but Western New Yorkers do it different. I mean, I thought I grew up in upstate New York in the Albany area, and I thought that we were like a different breed. Western New Yorkers are savage.
That Buffalo crowd, they are. You got to give them credit for showing up. Like when it's 0 degrees outside. It's like that's the most craziest thing. It's like if some of those guys are out there with no shirts on. It's like jumping off vans, crushing tables. It's like having the best time ever.
They're trying to convince you to join them, right? They're all trying to convince you.
We're here in Baltimore, and me as not being, from a player standpoint, it's like, no sleeves, going out there raw. As a fan standpoint, I'm tailgating for 5 minutes, and I'm like, this is ridiculous. I need to get in. I need to get inside.
For sure. Hey, this one's the last one for me before we get you on your way and show you a couple nice super chats that have come in here in the last couple minutes. But as you probably watched and heard, Zach Orr took a lot of heat through the first half of last year. He was a new defensive coordinator, I think the youngest in the league at that time at 32. I believe he turned 33 this offseason. But one thing as a duo here that covers the team year round, we've watched this trend unfold in the last couple months where you have different stakeholders, different pieces of the staff that have gone out of their way to speak highly on Zach in their press conferences, podium settings, so on and so forth. And obviously the defense from weeks 10 on was elite, among the best in the league. Yeah. What have you seen from Zach over the last year, just from where you watch, your vantage point?
Just the progress from like the beginning of the season to the end of the season. It's like the defense kind of feel like they were just getting their feet wet early on. It's like they settled into the scheme. They settled into like their role, like in every defensive play call, everybody has their own individual roles. Like, and I think everybody did a better job later in the season knowing and identifying their role and executing. So this year, it's like I think that they'll hit the ground running.
If it's anything like weeks 10 on, that's you'd like to think so. Sarah, a few super chats for C-Mac on his way out here. I'll let you take this one. It comes from Don C.
Don C says, someone bring C-Mac a drink. Love seeing you hanging out before the games. Chris, toughest CB we've ever had.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that, my man Don C. But you will catch me out before the game. You can hold that drink.
Nakia writes, C-Mac, Starks, Herring, Woodson, loved watching them. And Dreams writes, C-Mac, the original number 21, salute. And just because I think you were logging on at the time that we had this displayed up on the screen, Park Heights Prophet actually dropped in a $21 super chat. So he was showing you a little bit of love. We just had another one come in as well. Let's get you out of here on this. Paul writes, which interception in your career is most memorable? And what can this Ravens team do to be a playmaking defense again, which I think you already answered. So how about just the first part of that question?
It'd have to be against the Jets. I think it was my rookie year. It's like 90, 97, 95, somewhere around there, interception for a return. I only remember that because I was still wearing number 28 running down the sideline. As I saw the highlight a while back, I was like, man, that had to be my rookie year. So that was probably like the biggest play that I've made that I remember. Well, besides the kickoff return or field goal return, like that was my biggest play.
Chad is asking how many yards was the return. Do you remember? Oh, is he frozen? Are you there? Are you there?
Oh, he's stuck.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, no, the chat was asking. The chat was asking, do you remember how many yards the interception return was?
Do I?
Yeah.
I think it was 90, 95, 96.
Oh.
No way.
Yeah. I know it was down on the goal line because we were in cover 2. So I know it was over 90 yards. So I was playing a high-low. It's like, and I came from high and came down and picked off the flat.
And you remember who threw it to you?
Testaverde, because then we ended up having him the following year as our quarterback.
No way.
Yeah. Go figure.
He walks into the building. You're like, what's up?
What's that?
What's up, man? Hey, remember that? Remember that when you were playing with the Jets?
I was a rook.
No, I don't know what you're talking about.
You threw it to the rook. I love it.
Appreciate that.
That's awesome. Well, C-Mac, it was great to catch up with you, and we're all looking forward to the Be More Around Town experience. I know a lot of our chat catches you there, and we'll a few other home games. I'm sure you have any plans yet for home games or?
Nah. Well, I'll be there for the Cleveland game.
Okay. The home opener.
Sure. The home opener. Yeah.
Okay. And then after that, you'll just figure it out as you go.
Yeah. That's kind of how it works, But everybody come out, support, Be More Around Town for the season home opener. It's going to be awesome.
I love it.
Perfect.
Have a great rest of the summer, man. Thank you so much for doing this.
Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. Chris McAllister, Super Bowl champ. Sarah, that party, I don't know. He says it was memorable. How memorable are we talking?
It really wasn't, because here's what's funny about it is obviously I don't drink, and I don't know that most of my friends knew that. When C-Mac came, he brought, nobody ever partook of it. He brought as a gift to the party. I don't even know. It was like the biggest case of beer I've ever seen in my life. But I've also not seen a lot of cases of beer. But if I were to think it were sodas, it's not a lot. And he showed up, and I think he saw nobody was drinking, mostly out of disrespect to me. And then he was like there for like a song, and he was out. Like maybe a couple of songs or whatever from American Idol. But I lived at the time like right next to the facility, so it was just on the way. So that was I'm not surprised he doesn't remember it.
Oh, it cracks me up how he was honest about it, because it could have easily said, smile and nod, right?
Yeah.
Smile. Of course, I remember.
Because when you first said like old friends, I know he looked at me and was like, "What's that now?" Because again, it was like 20 years ago. So, yeah.
Oh, that's good. Well, maybe acquaintances is a better word for me to use, but
yeah.
Just to reiterate before we get to some more super chats and content, we're obviously thrilled to be working on a summer campaign with Be More Around Town. You guys know that, I've worked every single home tailgate and done pregame shows the last couple of years. I've traveled to London with these guys, and Brian just does it to a degree that all you do is honestly drop in your deposit, pack, and show up to wherever you want to, and the rest is literally taken care of. And I think that's why C-Mac and so many other former Ravens work with Brian. It's just a great experience. And right now, the offer to you as a Vaultron is if you book a full Ravens away trip experience with Brian, you're going to receive 2 complimentary VIP purple tailgate passes to a home tailgate of your choice this upcoming season. All you got to do is email Brian at BeMoreAroundTown.com once you book that trip, and that'll allow you to redeem the complimentary VIP home purple tailgate passes. All that information can be found in the show notes below. We also have a direct link in the live chat that's a pinned comment at the moment. And just to remind you, we're under 50 days out from that rematch of the divisional round in Buffalo, Western New York, Sunday Night Football, Ravens-Bills. C-Mac will be the legend of the tailgate, if you will, with Brian. There is a tailgate-only option, we should tell you as well, if you plan on traveling to Buffalo on your own. So that is that, and it was great to catch up with the former Super Bowl champ, wasn't it?
It sure was. Always good to see him. Always good to see him. And he's so much fun. He's so much fun, especially like you know, like more behind the scenes. He's, you know, he's professional always, but more behind the scenes is he's so fun. That's all I can say. He's fun.
He is.
So
He is. I
yeah.
can vouch for that as well.
And that's why like Be More Around Town, going up with him would be an absolute blast.
No doubt about it.
Yeah.
Great dude. And we very much appreciate his time. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Okay. Shall we make sure that we just didn't skip? Because for a while there, we were taking CMAC only super chats.
Yeah.
So let's just make sure that we're fully caught up to speed. Let's see. We got these in. Look who's back with a 5 spot today. Devin Jean-Pierre making sure that his presence is felt. So thanks to Devin for a 5 Voltron member gift. 5 new subscribers have become channel members. Thanks to Devin. And Sarah, on top of that, he attached a super chat.
Devin says Nick Wright is bad, but Mad Dog is the worst. Mad Dog, that might be very true. When he said Lamar could stick his MVPs where the sun don't shine, I was ready to crawl through the TV. LMAO. I remember that.
I do
It
too.
was bad.
I do too. Lewis, I guess it's just like you think to yourself, like, I guess for entertainment, but like it's Mad Dog's such an entertainer, but that there's certain takes of his that kind of go below the belt a little bit. Lewis writes, let's ask CMAC about Marcus and that horse, you know what? Would think that ends in an S word. Park Heights Prophet, I believe we put this one up there. His merch has arrived, which is exciting. And I think that brings us to being fully caught up.
Nice.
So there you have it. Okay. Like the video on your way in. There's over 1,400 concurrents. And I think I need to do a refresh, Sarah, because the last time I checked, we were inching closer and closer to a big milestone, which is 25,000 subscriptions. So let's see where we're at. Oh, 24,999. So if you happen to be out there and you're in the Twitter space, or maybe you're in the YouTube space right now, could you just double check for us if you've subscribed, because you might have a chance to be the lucky number 25,000 partner. It hasn't even been 3 years since this channel has been in existence. I believe the 28th will mark 3 years in the audio space, but late September, early October, which we still need to check on, will be 3 years in the YouTube space. So we are not bad.
Let's go 25,000s. But while we're giving out numbers, Tila, we're at 1,472 concurrents, and I'm seeing 783 members. So
alrighty,
there we go.
That's
coming up on that 800. Yes, coming up on 800 milestone there.
And up from 763, which we began the episode on. So there you have it.
Boom.
Where to next, partner?
Okay, so we are going to talk about Stephen A. Smith and his preposterous, horrible, terrible, whatever adjective you want in there, suggestion for the Baltimore Ravens and the Washington Commanders. But first, we have to give you some background. And the background is this. The Washington Commanders are trying to move stadiums. I believe they want to go back more into the city and not in the suburbs. And I don't quite know all the details behind this, but I do find this strange. President Trump has threatened to block the stadium movement unless they revert back to their old name. And so that's what's going on. And so Stephen A. Smith reacted to President Trump making that threat. But then, listen, somehow a bad idea beget another bad idea. And here is Stephen A.'s solution to circumventing Donald Trump's threat. Here we go.
Advocate, a strong advocate. I've always wanted a stadium in the state of Maryland that the Ravens and the Washington Commanders could share with a lot of employment emanating from DC, but still be able to, because again, you wouldn't have to worry about stuff like this. That's just my personal opinion. That was the idea that I threw out last year, that the Ravens and the Commanders should actually share stadium. You got a minimum of 17 to 18 weeks where you got games there, plus playoff games and all of that stuff, plus events in the offseason. And you know what? And it's the state of Maryland that you have to deal with instead of this kind of nonsense. But they didn't do
that. Okay. So, in an effort to go around this threat, he says the state of Maryland should build a dual stadium, which, by the way, the Ravens are in the middle of renovations again. Steve Bisciotti and the city of Baltimore and the state of Maryland keep renovating the stadium, trying to make the game day experience as good as possible. Obviously, they're competing with people just wanting to stay home and watch it on TV. And so in the midst of all of this, for some reason, I don't know what would be the reason that the Ravens be like, sure, Commanders, come on over and we'll share the stadium. I think he's saying to build another one that maybe is closer to both cities, maybe meets in the middle. But I like having it in downtown Baltimore. Clearly, the Commanders want to go back closer to downtown. And that's not even to mention how much these two fan bases absolutely detest one another and would not want to share anything. And there are some shared stadiums. You can go to the New York Jets and New York Giants, or the LA Chargers and the LA Rams. But like, they're literally in the same city, so it makes more sense. This idea, Bobby, I think we should just crush up and throw in the trash.
I think it's one of the most coolest takes that he's ever given. He's never lived in the area. Last time I checked, I believe he's a New York resident. When you live, as you know, when you live in the DC area, when you live in the Baltimore area, you may be 20 miles from somewhere, and you dang near might be 2 hours from whatever's 20 miles away. Okay, that's how it is. It makes sense in a tightly packed metropolitan area in the Northeast for New York, meaning the Giants and the Jets, the New York Jets, to share the same stadium. It makes sense in LA for those two teams to share the same stadium. Mm-hmm. It would make, you know how many headaches would come out of this? I mean, it shows such a lack of awareness for the area, the fan bases, to your point. Not to mention, and I'm not saying he's saying put it in Landover where FedEx Field is right now, but if I'm the Commanders, of course you want out of FedEx Field. But if I'm the Commanders, I've been around a lot longer than the 1996 Baltimore Ravens, and this used to be my turf. Why do I want to go share a stadium now with this team?
Yeah.
If I'm the Commanders, I'm saying, no, I want my own identity. And you can say the same thing for the Ravens too.
Yeah.
Because what the Ravens have done is infiltrated the area over the last 20 plus years, and really throughout the Dan Snyder era. And think about how many folks that live in the DC area or in outside of DC that are actually across the Maryland state line who have given up on the Commanders, once called Redskins, because of what Dan Snyder did to them. They've been irrelevant for years. And now that Jaden Daniels and the unflappability that he's brought and how high flying they are with Cliff Kingsbury and going to an NFC championship in year one with a rookie, you want to build off that. You don't want to go share a stadium with the Ravens because the Ravens have already stolen a lot of your fan base and earned, by the way, it's not even stolen, earned your fan base over the years. Yeah. So those are my thoughts on it. This is it's preposterous, and there's spit all over my laptop. That's how fired up I am about this idea, because it's impossible to get anywhere throughout the DMV.
I was gonna say, like, just going back to your original point is like the traffic alone is like, what are we doing? Like, we're making it difficult for both cities, like both cities, to get to the games. Yeah, no. We don't need any of that. So can we just listen? We can't throw it in the trash. But we can move on with the slides. Like, let's get that off the screen. Before we move to that. Okay, here's some more fun news. Here's something that won't make you spit out of anger, Bobby. We won't do that to you.
Clean off my mouth out here.
Yeah. Let's get a palate cleanser here. I have just the palate cleanser for us. How about when Derrick Henry and I don't know, Adam Sandler? Okay. Last night, Derrick Henry went to the New York Netflix premiere for Happy Gilmore 2, which I have to say, just out of pure nostalgia of watching that when I think I was in high school, something like that, maybe junior high, probably high school. Happy Gilmore might be, outside of Dumb and Dumber, the movie I quote the most, or maybe Billy Madison, whatever. A lot of them have the comedians from back in those days. So the background to this, which I'm assuming you covered while I was in Switzerland back in the day. Okay, so Dan Patrick, who Derrick Henry was on his show. Dan Patrick has been in a few Adam Sandler movies, and so they know each other. And when Derrick Henry was on Dan Patrick's show early June, he was talking about how much he liked Adam Sandler. And Dan's like, oh, well, I've gotten in. How about this? How about this? If you rush for 2,000 yards again in 2025, and how many yards was he short in 2024, Bobby? I know you know that off the top of your head.
Well, I know the number, 79. 79.
Easily could have had it if he was really going for it, right? They weren't using Derrick Henry too much in the beginning of the year. So he just needs 79 more yards on top of what he did last year to hit 2,000. And if he hits 2,000, the deal was that he would officially be in an Adam Sandler movie. So they see each other at this premiere last night. And why don't you look on the inside lining of Derrick Henry's jacket? It's got a 2K repeated over on the inside lining with a few of his pictures or a few images of him running. I can't read the small print of what it says inside of there. But anyway, the two of them, what does that say? It's too blurry. I can't see what it says. Maybe the chat can figure it out.
Well, it says his name and probably how it was made. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
All I see is Derrick Henry, which is the third line. The other two are about as blurry as it gets.
Yeah. And so anyway, here's some video from Derrick Henry's Instagram account from when they saw each other last night. Let's bring us back up. So there he is at the premiere. And that looks like the place to be. Super fun. Then there he is catching up with Adam Sandler, showing off the inside of his suit jacket. And right here, you can't hear it, Adam Sandler gives him a high five, a little bro hug, and says, we're going to make a movie together. Like, it's on Adam's mind. He knows it's happening. And there's Derrick flashing his 2K inside his suit again. Bobby, I am here for the duo, for the combination that is Derrick Henry and Adam Sandler in a movie together.
Look at him with a golf club in his hand. That does not look natural there at all. It's hysterical. I love this bromance that's forming. I didn't realize that this bromance even existed prior to that Dan Patrick conversation that you cited. And we did cover it extensively. It was a fun Friday episode. I can remember a Thursday or a Friday episode while you were gone. And my question is, and I would like somebody to follow up on this with Derrick, was this custom made for not only this appearance, but since the interview, or is this a jacket that he's always had? Because
no, it's not, because it's a Ravens image. If it were a Titans image, I'd say he's always had it.
Well, wait a second now.
Look at the image on the inside of his jacket. It's him in a Ravens jersey running.
Hold on a second here.
Blow that up again, bro. Look, it's him in a Ravens purple.
Where are you looking?
On the inside of his jacket, on the far right picture where it says 2K, 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 there's him running in front of the 2Ks. How do you not see it?
In front of the 2Ks. Hold on a second. I'm going to go to a different screen and blow it up. Oh, he is in purple right there.
Yeah.
Wow. Good catch.
And he did not go for 2K last year. So I have to believe this is custom made for this moment.
How did you see that? Because you know where I was going with that. He's hit the number before. So that's all I was.
Right.
I was just trying to figure out. You're right. That is brand new. That thing is brand new and it is clean. So good catch there, partner. And Adam seems to be awfully motivated to get this done for him. So Derrick knows what he's got to do, Sarah, in order to get his casting.
I am not happy with Mr. Solodolo in the chat right now.
Uh-oh.
He's clowning Adam Sandler. And maybe it's out of pure nostalgia. Maybe if I watched his movies as an adult, and I really don't watch a lot of the movies anymore, maybe as an adult, I wouldn't think he's funny. But I, as a kid, just thought he was absolutely hilarious. Bobby, Happy Gilmore, Billy Madison, The Wedding Singer, Anger Management, Waterboy, 50 First Dates. I could go on and on. I loved all of those movies. I loved all of them.
He's an absolute legend. I mean, you can rip off as many of those. You probably go for a couple more minutes on those movies. So yeah. I thought Solo Dolo was actually doing something offensive.
Oh, no. It's just he's saying that he's not funny, and I don't. It's also kind of one of those things where it's like when people bash on Lamar, right? And it's like, well, he hasn't won a Super Bowl, and it's like, yeah, but he's like one of the top athletes in the world, and he's probably the best dual threat quarterback in NFL history. But you still find a way to like bash him. It's like Adam Sandler, all these blockbuster movies, SNL, all that kind of stuff. And it's like, he may not be your cup of tea, but like the success he's had is undeniable.
Yeah, it's unquestioned for sure. Shall we get to quick hits?
Yes.
Let's just make sure we're fully caught up on Super Chats before we do that. And we are not. So let's get back to them. Let's see. We left off. Gosh, they all flew in after we finished up. So, okay. Romy Raven with some exciting news, and it allows us to remind you that at midnight, coming up tonight, really this morning, but from tonight into tomorrow, Tuesday into Wednesday, thevaultpod.com becomes available to the public, which we're very excited about. And Romy Raven says that her vault cap has arrived. Let us know which cap did you get? Did you get the
snapback?
A beanie, snapback, dad hat? Yeah. What'd you get, Romy? Appreciate you. E-Man Watts has gifted a Voltron channel membership. Appreciate you, E-Man. And Sarah, Jared Thomas just continues to go back and forth via Super Chat with you, which we love.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I like Jared. I'm trying to find a comment I disagree with here. Sarah, that bro Chris and Samari Roll, I don't know if you remember him, Bobby, formed a nice little CV tandem in Baltimore for a minute. Stole Roll from the rival Titans, LOL. That was a nice one. Roll was at the end of his career, so he only had a couple of solid years with CMAC, but that while it lasted, it was pretty good.
Well before my time, so this is good educational stuff for me. DJP, Devin Jean-Pierre, has gifted us a channel membership. He is active today, as he's been the last several days. Appreciate you, Devin. Yvette Biggs writes, bad Stephen A. Bad idea, she writes. She's a channel member, letting SAS know. As is Park Heights Prophet, Sarah, with a $10 super chat.
I love it when I get to read PHPs. May Stephen A. Smith have his face...
Uh-oh.
I do not promote violence, but here we go. May Stephen A. Smith have his face smacked with the claw of a Maryland blue crab. Have a can of Natty Boo. Do I say boo or bo?
Bo.
Oh, shoot.
Natty Bo.
Remember you used to wear a shirt with Natty Bo, and then somebody finally informed me it was alcohol, and I thought it was like chips.
Me?
No, one of our super chat. I think it was Don C. actually, who just gave some love to CMAC. Anyway, I haven't worn that shirt yet. I think I like donated it. He said, have a can of Natty Bo poured on his head and get left on Mount and Pressman Streets with an open bottle of mumbo sauce.
Ooh, I know exactly where that is, PHP. Look out. That is that's quite the rundown for Stephen A. I don't think he'd be coming back to Baltimore if any of that took place. Maybe that's exactly what Park Heights wants, right? For him not to come back to Baltimore. He and Wes Moore were hanging out at one Ravens game last year, weren't they? They went on some PR tour. I don't know what that was all about. Maybe was it one of his takes maybe that went sour, and Wes was like, "Hey, we want to have you here to Baltimore to like show you what it's about." It was something like that.
Oh, I don't know what triggered it. I just remember, and he still talks about the governor from Maryland like all the time. He clearly loves him.
Boy,
now the governor needs to put him in a spot with this take though.
Douglas H. Brown Sr. says, Sarah and Bobby, where do we stand on memberships?
Hold on, let me refresh one more time. I know we're still around 785, but let's see. I'm refreshing. We're at 787.
Everybody was loving the mumbo sauce comment there from Park Heights. Amazing. Thanks. DHB Senior. Appreciate you, man. By the way, I thought he couldn't make the stream because he was working. And now here he is, Sarah, not as promised, but almost unannounced, always making sure that his presence is here. We appreciate you, Douglas. Eric Hill writes, and this is for you.
He says, I feel like 6,000 passing yards plus 3,000 rushing yards are doable this year for the Ravens, over 2K rush for the King, and the rest for Lamar and company. 6,000's a lot.
Wow.
That's a lot.
Astronomical.
3,000 rushing if you add in Lamar. Yeah, definitely 3,000 rushing. 6,000 passing is a lot.
That is astronomical. We have surpassed the 25,000 subscription mark, so congrats, partner. We are a quarter of the way there to 100,000, and thanks to those of you who became 3 subscribers, because we were at 24,999 and we are now at 25,002. So thanks to everybody for helping us get to a great milestone, and it just so happens to come on the first day of training camp, which feels kind of symbolic. Just Jay has become our newest channel member and a Voltron. So Just Jay, welcome to the program. Mike M has gifted a channel membership. Appreciate you, Mike. And Douglas H. Brown Sr., Sarah, is here. Not only has he shown up after his commitment, or maybe he's in the middle of a commitment, who knows, and he's just making time for us, but he's still gift giving as well. We appreciate you, Douglas, and Devin Jean-Pierre.
We've hit up 797 now, so we're 3 away from 800.
All right. And I wonder if Devin's has been populated on that number that you just gave, because he has gifted 5 channel memberships. So you guys are alive and well today. We appreciate you, and it's really Christmas morning, I'm sure, for a lot of you, being that training camp is officially underway and press conferences will finish up, or I should say get underway, in under an hour from now to officially kickstart things, which means we got to get moving. Let's get to some quick hits and get out of here. Sarah, Cincinnati is not smiling at all, because Trey Hendrickson has essentially stood on business with this decision. Ian Rappaport noting that long-term extension talks between the Cincy brass and Trey, the NFL's leader in sacks a year ago, have broken down. And it's all over, you guessed it, guaranteed money. That's the theme of Cincinnati's, negotiating this offseason, because the same exact deal on a rookie side of things is going down with Shamar Stewart. But it looks like, according to Instagram, Trey's like, deuces, I'm out. I'm going to Florida, because he put up his Instagram story, made sure to put a specific location on that story. And you already know it's garnering all kinds of attention across the NFL. Sarah.
Dude, like right as training camp is starting, this is what he puts out.
Yep.
Oh,
checkmate, right? In other words, checkmate.
That is rough. You know what's crazy? When the Steelers and all the reports were going down with TJ Watt and the Steelers, I was like, they're going to figure it out, because Steelers take care of their own. Like, they'll keep it under wraps. It's not, whatever. I haven't had such confidence with the Bengals because of their history. It just seems like they always start slow because of contract negotiations lingering. Now, this is lingering to another level. When your defensive star is putting up an image with the location in Florida, as everybody else is reporting to Cincinnati, that's a problem. That's a problem. And you mentioned, sorry, do you have anything else to say about Trey Hendrickson? Because I was going to bring up,
because you're going to where I was going to go, and that's the next problem.
Yeah. So Shamar Stewart. Now, this is interesting, because I do think it's a little bit different, because doesn't Trey also broke down over guaranteed money before camp? Okay, so it is guaranteed money. With Trey Hendrickson, it's more the language.
With Shamar. Yeah.
What did I say?
With Trey. It's all good.
My bad. Okay, with Shamar, at least according to Mike Brown. So Mike Brown, their owner, like Steve Bisciotti, doesn't talk a lot, but apparently he speaks about once a year. I don't even know if we get that from Steve anymore. Certainly,
we did in that very manufactured sit down that he did with Ravens production.
Right, I'm talking about a media scrum.
Yeah.
We haven't had that in years.
Yeah.
And so anyway, according to Mike Brown, his side of it is that it's not necessarily like all the guaranteed money. He's saying it's specific about that they want it fully guaranteed, even in case of if he were to do like conduct detriment to the team or is disciplined by the league, or in Mike Brown's words, and by the way, who's your guy that you really dislike that's an aggregator? Dov Kleiman. He was really unfair. He cut a Mike Brown clip, and Mike Brown was explaining the entire context, and Dov put up a video that just said, well, what if something rises to the level of Shamar going to prison, almost acting as if Shamar would be going to prison. And he was talking in bigger terms. He even said, this is just a hypothetical. He goes, it's a hypothetical, but what if it rises to the level of, say, going to prison, and we would still be on the line for guaranteed money? He was not insinuating at all that Shamar is the type of guy that would wind up in prison. He's saying this is the same language we have for everybody. And if there was some sort of conduct that rose to the level of disciplinary levels of the league, or say even the law, whether it's federal law or state law or whatever, he's saying in those instances, I don't want it to be fully guaranteed. So that's what he's saying is what it's all about.
Color me shocked that Twitter account misled folks and clipped things and didn't provide the entire context. I saw a rumor recently that he sold the account. Whoever it is, I don't believe lives in the States even. This could be just a total Twitter rumor, but I saw something that he sold his account. And so now there's folks like he literally like made a bunch of money off the following that he amassed. And
right.
Now it's just an aggregator account, and it does stuff like that, which is why it drives me nuts. I try not to share anything he does. I mean, it's not that big of a deal. There's so much of that going on in the Twitter space these days, which is why you just don't know what the heck to believe. I mean, look at the political space in Twitter right now. It's a bloodbath. But you got one more slide on Shamar as well.
I was I feel like the live chat is taking it the way Dov set it up. I don't think they're like, why would you draft somebody if you think they're going to go to prison? It's not Shamar. He's saying he has it for all players. And I bet, Bobby, it's in almost all NFL contracts, not just the Bengals.
Sure.
Like if there's conduct detrimental to the team, or if you've done these things, it's everybody. It's not Shamar specific. And so, but I think Shamar's agent is pushing against that language. Yeah. But that language is in like almost all of Mike Brown's contracts. But if I had to guess, it's probably in most NFL contracts league wide. So anyway, he was also asked about his reputation for being cheap. And I just brought in the video for this because I have also said that I feel like the Bengals are cheap. And he responds to that.
Whether it's football fans or the media, when they share the opinion that they think the Bengals are cheap or the Bengals don't want to spend money as an organization, what's your response to that?
Oh, it's just a form of foolishness. We deal with the media, and the media says things. A lot of what they say is really on point and helpful, and sometimes what they say is invalid, not true, just opinion of someone who isn't informed. That pretty well falls into that question you asked, in my opinion, would fall into that latter department, because we operate under a cap system. We pay out the last couple years more than the cap, so that reduces what we can pay in the future. But that isn't being cheap. It's just trying to make the system operate the way we can. Sometimes we paid out so much in the cap system that it makes it hard to form up a contract for someone at the end of the negotiating period. The money's already been paid to others. That influences what we can pay. But it isn't a question of being cheap. We will pay out the full cap and go forward. As far as the stadium is concerned, our deal is within the generality of what other deals are for NFL teams in markets similar to ours, that have stadiums similar to ours. We pay out as much as the other teams do.
All right. So anyway, Bobby, I went to go look in the most recent years that I looked up. they're close for like since the last 5 years. I'd say they're close to almost spending up to the cap. Now you heard him say we've paid over the cap. That's cash over cap. It's getting into the weeds. But the reason why people say the cap isn't real, it's because you can like obviously finagle it and push money down the road. But at the end of the day, you have so much cash that you can spend. Meaning by how much money you actually have and how much you can push down. And so Dick Cass, the former president of the Ravens, used to talk to us about this. And he's like, you kind of can push things around for 5 years. And that's the most you can do. But at the end of the day, like you do eventually run out of cash. But to be fair to him, I was looking it up. They are pretty close to spending to the cap, but historically that has not been true. And I think that's been stuck on him for all these years. But he's definitely paid his wide receivers and his quarterback. And so I think now that like he's trying to say, like, we've spent a lot of cash, a lot of money. And so I don't see how that's cheap. And I would say he has been bucking that reputation more recently.
The exact opposite of the Ravens when it comes to the wide receiver position.
Yeah, seriously.
Cameron Wolfe, NFL reporter, noting that Arthur Maulet, former Ravens corner, told him that he signed a 1-year deal with the Houston Texans. He's healthy. He is in Houston for training camp. And as we all know, he had a strong 2023 under Mike McDonald. Just a timely blitzer, hard-hitting player that understands AFC North football, played for Pittsburgh years ago. But unfortunately, as we all watched, that knee in 2024 limited him to just 3 games. Thought the scope might help and he'd come back on the other side, but it just felt like that was a murky situation for him. The timeline seemed murky. And now, as Cameron writes, he's going to try and get back to 2023 form this year. Sarah, as a Texan, I know you is not exactly Ronald Darby in your mind, but he was valuable that year in 2023 for sure when they made a title run.
Yeah, he and Ronald Darby helped save the secondary after all those crazy injuries early on. So I wish him the best. I still remember him pre-game against the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game he was like 1 against like 5 guys going at each other, getting each other's face masks. That did not turn out how we all wanted to. But yeah, I do like Arthur Maulet, and I hope he regains his 2023 form and has a successful career in Houston.
Best wishes to him. Elsewhere, Daniel Fa'alele, Sarah, is working with Duke Mayweather, who is a highly respected offensive line guru. And as you can see here, the Offensive Line Mastermind's Twitter account noted that we all come in different body types and we all have different things that make us unique. But at the end of the day, offensive line play is a skill position. We know that Daniel is 6'9", 375. The player that he's working with here is the smallest, quote unquote, smallest for football terms, offensive lineman league-wide at 6'1", 285 pounds. So Fa'alele is working at 6'9", 375. His partner here, his training partner, is 6'1", 285. And here's Daniel getting it with Duke Mayweather.
All right. We got literally the largest offensive lineman in the league, the smallest offensive lineman in the league, but we still grinding. Daniel, one thing, that goes in tight, next to it, we'll take the car. Even how big you are, go ahead and press something like this. I can't get you up. I think it's easy.
And let me make sure I give the quote-unquote smallest offensive lineman some name love. That is Aaron Brewer. He's a Miami Dolphin at the moment. He was undrafted out of Texas State in 2020, but has hung around. He began his career in Tennessee. They took a chance on him. He spent his last 4 seasons there prior to going to Miami last year. And, really, I brought this in because of Fa'alele, and that's, I think, garnering some attention within the Ravens fan base community just because of how high regarded Duke Mayweather is within the offensive line community.
Definitely. And Fa'alele, for obviously all of his shortcomings, the man is putting in the work. He's been working, certainly trying to improve. And we already know he's going to be a starter. He started all 17 games last year. And I think it's a matter of 2 things, like playing more nasty with all that size that he has, just play with an aggression. And then the second thing is like, because he can be fine, like he'll be fine, but when he has a bad rep, it's a really bad rep. So like at the very least, let's get rid of those really bad reps. And I guess there's the third thing is I feel like in training camp, there's always reports about him kind of huffing and puffing in the sun. And I get it. He's a big guy, but hopefully all this offseason work will pay off and he can handle these training camps a little bit more, staying in shape.
You already know that Maryland August weather is right around the corner, and it is going to be bearing down on these guys in the coming weeks. Congratulations are in order for Isaiah Likely, who was recently married, and these photos come from his Instagram account. And let me make sure I get his now wife, former fiance's name, because she seems super cool. And at Tight End University, I actually saw a photo of her and Taylor Swift, like as if they were buddies, which is kind of cool. Melanie and Isaiah. This was, it looks like at San Francisco City Hall. Melanie's caption, "Till death do us part." Why don't I do this just to show the full catalog? Do a screen share of Isaiah's Instagram post. Look at that. Man, what a beautiful backdrop.
Absolutely.
And that staircase is no joke, man. Looks like a cathedral, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's absolutely.
Here they are. I believe these two were college sweethearts. Where do you go? Coastal? I think it was Coastal Carolina.
Yep.
There they are looking at the venue together. Beautiful photos. Look at everybody chiming in the comment section. The Ravens team account, Pat Ricard, Ardarius, Trippy, of course, is in there. Looks like this is Melanie's sister, welcoming him officially to the family. Everybody else with some super nice. There's the diamond. Oh,
it's not bad.
You know, Isaiah spent a pretty penny on that one, but congratulations to the Likeleys.
I just feel like a big 2025 year for Isaiah Likely. Okay. He's gotten married. I just feel like he's got to get more reps. He's got to get more targets. He could get a new deal. Make 2025 the best year yet, Isaiah Likely. Ravens, give him the opportunity.
I think you're on the same page that Emmett Dolan 91 is here. 2 rings for this guy this year.
There we go.
And there have been a number of those that can say that when it's all said and done come February of 2026, if that ends up being the case, because Kyle Hamilton recently proposed, right? So there's a ring on his fiance's finger. Who else is out there? There's a couple others from this past season, but they're the Likeleys.
Marlon Humphrey. Was that last year?
Riding off into the sunset. Marlon was... Did Marlon have his wedding this offseason? Why do I feel like his wedding was and the engagement was in the past?
I can't
But
remember.
anyway, there you have it. Young and in love are the Likeleys. And finally...
The way you said the Likeleys. Say that again. The Likeleys.
Young and in love are the Likeleys. Congrats to them. Okay, tonight, midnight, Wednesday morning, technically, thevaultpod.com becomes a thing, and the emails continue to come in, Sarah, which has been awesome. Ivan Gunn showed us a photo of his new t-shirt on the right-hand side, and we have yet to receive until today a note on the car stickers, the car magnets. And that's exactly what Sheree did for us. And she also gave us a suggestion as well, which we forwarded to Carly and our design team. So
remind me of the suggestion.
It was she had to cut out the white framework, essentially the white background on that wheel sticker. So let's actually, in order to show you what I'm talking about, let's just go ahead and check out what's going on at thevaultpod.com.
Which you didn't finish. You kind of cut yourself off. So the soft launch is coming to an end, and everybody, whether you're a member or not, starting at 12:01 in less than 12 hours, everyone will have access to the Vault merch.
Very excited about that. Channel members and patrons and Discord community members have had that early access perk.
Yes.
And it gave us a chance to experiment, accept feedback, take a look at it ourselves. And now we're in a position to roll this thing out to the public tonight, to your point. And I know we're very, very excited about it. It's been a great start to this endeavor. And what Sheree wrote us about was this background. She just liked it better without the white part of the magnet. And so she cut around it and then threw it on her car. And to her credit,
it looks
whatever
great.
she used to cut it,
yeah.
Holy crap. I mean, look at it. It looks like there's nearly no remaining white around it aside from just.
Well, she almost left it as like a highlight behind it. Like she cut it well.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that was impressive. And thank you, Sheree. We made sure to send that to the powers that be. And just in case you're new to figuring out that this apparel line now exists, thevaultpod.com, a lot more than just magnets, partner. If you go to the show notes below, and if you're not a channel member or a patron or a Discord community member tonight, you can. But maybe you are one of those three and you just haven't figured out about the soft launch till now. You've got t-shirts and hoodies and crew necks and tank tops and dry fit shirts and golf polos, Under Armour based, and beanies. The snapback is a big time seller. The Wheel Dad hat is an option for you. More beanie options, a flat rim, bucket hats, koozies in 2 different sizes, coffee mugs, stickers, so on and so forth. So we continue to take suggestions and feedback, and that will be the case, Sarah, even after we launch this thing coming up at midnight. Ooh, wait a second. Look at this. Carly's just teasing everybody and letting everybody know that it might be open a little earlier than 12:01 a.m., pending how tired she is. So that's exciting.
I guess you can't just set the time. I guess Carly has to actually flip the switch.
I was going to say, this is English for like start checking at 10.
Yeah.
Right? Start checking at 10 is how I'm reading this. So good stuff. Appreciate you, Carly, for all the help you've given us throughout this process.
Carly's
Very
awesome.
excited. Let's get caught up on Super Chat, shall we, before we jump?
Yep.
All right. We left off with, gosh, where did we leave off with?
By the way, we're at 809 members. We passed the 800 milestone.
Thank you, guys.
Everybody.
Let's make sure we get caught up here. So Douglas H. Brown Sr. gifted us 5 Voltron channel memberships. Then came Devin Jean-Pierre, because at the same time, which was 1:10 Eastern, these guys have been going back and forth. Then Douglas is like, I'm coming back for 5 more. And then 2 minutes later, DJP says, I'm coming back for 5 more as well. So within a 2-minute spurt, Sarah, you had 20 channel memberships given out thanks to these guys and their generosity. And then Douglas chimes in with a super chat as well for you.
You were asking if he was like in between his work commitments or what. He said, no, I rushed back to be with my peeps.
We're glad you did, man. Eric Hill says, I'm just saying Lamar is one of the most efficient and accurate passers. If the receivers do their job, he could and still be sitting out the 4th quarter if winning. Plus, Lamar has the weapons to do it, going back to his 6,000 yards prediction from earlier on. Don C with a super chat, partner.
Will this be like a Carson Palmer thing when he chose not to play and Brown refused to trade him? Or would Trey become a free agent next year?
He is not. Well, let's see where his contract is. I don't
think. Yeah, if he still has 1 more year, I feel like there's rules behind how you accrue another season under your belt.
Let's see. Yeah, he is. 26, he hits unrestricted free agency.
Yeah. And yeah, I feel like he would just be like forfeiting all the money he is under contract for.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Yep. But clearly feels strongly enough about it. And he's mentioned that since that press conference at, what was it, an OTAs, when he showed up in street clothes, and he was pissed off, and he did not hide away from that at all. Eric Hill has gifted an additional channel membership. Appreciate you, Eric. And the same thing with Douglas. He goes ahead and matches. These are just about 10 minutes, 13 minutes ago or so. Appreciate you, DHB Senior. Jared Thomas says, salute Sarah and Bobby. Keep those wings flapping. That's the plan, brother. Appreciate you for being so active today. And Adam Legend hits us with the super chat.
The number one roster label feels like a means to crucify Lamar if we don't get a ring this year. I'm iffy on it, even as a fan of the roster we built. Certainly some MVP voters, we've seen them use it against him for sure.
Yep. Thanks to everybody for weighing in via super chats today. And a special thank you to our patrons who have been with us for years running now. That's Jason Zarotniak, who's also a channel member, and Mark Pankhurst, excuse me, Mark. Thanks to Jason and Mark. This is your monthly shout out. We appreciate you guys both very much for the support that you give us through Patreon. And if you guys are interested in doing the same, you can visit patreon.com/RavensVault podcast if you are interested in learning more about what we are offering. I get the sense that there's going to be a lot of Ma the Meatloafs tomorrow because the vaultpod.com becomes available tonight. It's the official start to training camp this week, and there's just a lot to be excited about. So, and we just hit that 25,000 subscription count, which feels pretty significant. So, needless to say, thank you all for a wonderful start to this week. Sarah and I will be back tomorrow. That's Wednesday, the 23rd, for our normal time, 12 noon Eastern. And there's going to be plenty to get to because we have press conferences coming up in 24, 25 minutes from right now. So appreciate you. Catch up with you tomorrow.
Appreciate you. And yes, of course.
Sounds good. Thank you guys so much for a great start to this week. We will catch up with you in under 23 hours from right now. And as always, Vaultrons, thank you for joining us here inside the vault. Sarah and I will talk to you very soon.